Regional forms. A brand new concept introduced in Generation 7, bringing new life to old favorites or older Pokemon in much need of some attention. These Pokemon seem to be affected by their environments, much how many animal species are, so this concept was clearly an instant hit among Pokemon fans. And in my opinion, the best new gimmick or addition added to the more recent games. Sorry, Mega Evolutions. However, in the Alola region, we only saw Kanto Pokemon get regional forms, which obviously bothered a handful of people, but we were all thrilled not only to see regional forms return in Generation 8, but shaking things up, not only by giving them to Pokemon outside of Generation 1, but giving some of these Pokemon exclusive new regional evolutions as well, a concept that carried over into Pokemon Legends Arceus, along with a bunch of awesome new regional variants. And of course, we even got a couple new regional forms and a regional evolution as well in Generation 9. So it looks like regional forms are here to stay, and I am all here for it. They've blown up in the Fakemon community as well, and with all the possibilities, I myself couldn't help but create some for my own Fakemon regions, as I honestly just love creating regional forms. However, in this video, I'll only be covering those I did for my current Fakemon region, inspired by Iceland and Norse mythology, the Fyrún Region. To learn more about this region, make sure to check out some of my previous videos, and of course subscribe to my channel to catch any future ones, as there is still plenty of epic Pokemon to be discovered in the Fyrún Region. Or, follow me on Instagram, at Mykelmon_regions, to learn more about their movesets, stats, and their shinies. I am well aware that a lot of you who follow me religiously on both platforms are familiar with most of, if not all of these regional forms, to some extent, as I've already introduced a lot of them in various other videos here on my channel. But, for the vast majority of you who are new, or even those of you who may need a refresher or missed some previous videos, I thought it would be best to make a compilation video to feature them all in one place. A few of which have actually yet to be introduced or explored here on YouTube. So I won't just be recycling old content. I will be diving further into these Fakemon's inspiration, lure, and my creative process behind the designs and their creations, as I do all of my Fakemon here on this channel. Due to Iceland's rich culture as well as its unique, diverse, and rather harsh environment, making regionals for this region was an absolute blast. Since my first region, the Luik region, and its Fakemon were just so well received in the community and seemed to leave quite a lasting impression, I also thought it would be fun to do a handful of regional variants for some of my Luika Pokemon, just as I have various canon Pokemon from different generations. So this kind of almost made my Luika Pokemon feel more real in a sense. This was also something I personally hadn't seen done in the community at the time. Not to say it hadn't been done before. I felt like this would be the perfect opportunity to have the Luika region live on in the Fyrún region and connect the two in a very cool way. However, that being said, I know a lot of you, especially here on this platform, may not be as familiar with the Luika region, as I haven't yet really dived into it. So I'm only going to briefly gloss over those regional forms. If any of them pique your interest though, I cover them in more detail in various other videos here on my channel. But for this one, I'd like to focus more on the regionals for the Pokemon we all know and love. So, without further ado, let's take a look at some of the Pokemon who appear differently in the magical Fyrún region. The Fyrún region is inspired by Scandinavia and Norse mythology, with the majority of the region's culture, geography, and wildlife resembling that of Iceland. The region features over 115 brand new Pokemon, as well as new regional forms and evolutions for classic Pokemon, and a brand new battle mechanic known as Forge Forms, offering unique magical weapon variations of several fan-favorite Pokemon, as well as the new native Pokemon of the region. The Fyrún region's hypothetical and who knows maybe one day future fan games would be known as Pokemon Brain and Pokemon Brawn, with its story focusing on duality and division, as you set out on your own Pokemon adventure against your overprotective mother, Professor Aspen's best wishes. As you'd be pitted against your childhood best friend, as you've both been recruited by rival teams, Team Brain and Team Brawn, in the middle of their high-stakes turf war throughout the Fyrún region. As each team is led by one of the Fyrún region's divine Pokemon. Team Brain is led by the trickster Pokemon Ilruz, while Team Brawn is led by the mighty Pokemon Stormer, both trying to reclaim the region as they believe it to be their rightful kingdom. so you and the rest of Team Brain or Team Brawn are merely their pawns, as you'll not only be up against an evil team in this region, but will actually be part of one, working your way up the ranks. I hope you and your starter Pokemon are ready, because the journey through the Fyrún region continues. First, I'd like to start off with the regional variant that has yet to be featured here on my YouTube channel, Fernian Lapras. This regional is inspired by Viking ships known as Drakkar, as the bow of the ship usually resembles a dragon. This part of the ship is even referred to as the dragon head of the boat, hence this variant's powerful new water dragon typing. Drakkars are known to be used as vessels for war out at sea, but they were also often used by Vikings for trade and to transport goods. More importantly, these ships were known to be used for sailing long distances. So as Lapras has always been a transportation Pokemon out at sea, since the early days of Pokemon, I wanted to honor that by making it the surfing Pokemon for the Fyrún region. As being inspired by Iceland and Norse mythology, both with strong Viking history, I figured it would be the perfect fit as the region's riding mon out at sea, especially as the Fyrún region has a lot of ocean areas to explore. Not as much water as the Hoenn region, but there would be a lot of water. Just another similarity to the Hoenn region, as I've addressed several others that inspired the Fyrún region in my Pokemon Counterparts video. Having adapted to the rough raging waters surrounding the Fyrún region, Ferranean Lapras are much larger in size than their Cantonian counterparts. Capable of transporting small groups of people, they are used to charter trainers across the neighboring seas. It's also important to note that this Pokemon's concept and design was heavily inspired by a beta Pokemon that was scrapped from Gold and Silver, but I decided to make it a Lapras variant to put my own twist on the concept and avoid any similarities to all the other Drakkar Fakemon I've seen throughout the Fakemon community. Its head looks like that of the bows found on the Drakkar ships, with its fins including an extra set looking like the oars of the ship. And of course what would normally be the shell on its back now looks like an actual boat. I wanted to give it a lighter seafoam green coloring to keep its more serene look and still fit its water typing, while still looking different enough from the original. While extremely rare, Fernian Lapras can be found all throughout the ocean areas of the Fyrún region, with the exception of the icy cold areas in the Boarrior Bay and polluted waters surrounding the Pokécorp oil rig. That being said, as one of the region's riding Pokemon, used to traverse the region's rough waters, you'd still be seeing plenty of it on your journey throughout the Fyrún region. This has to be my favorite regional variant for the Fyrún region. I'm just a big Lapras fan, I always have been, and I'm just really happy with how this design turned out. Thanks to one of my favorite artists, Trainer Mats. The next regional was introduced in my Halloween special, full of several spooky ghost-type Pokemon, and even a personal ghost story. So if you believe in the supernatural ghosts, or just simply love ghost types, I dare you to check it out. Next up, we have a regional variant, Fernian Spearow, who is a ghost flying type inspired by ravens, crows, and scarecrows, as the two share a strong connection. Its ghost typing is also a slight nod to Odin's two ravens, as they resemble crows. Superstition has it spotting a noisy flock of Fernian Spearow in the sky is a bad omen. Its straw-like feathers are meant to give it that scarecrow look, as its head almost looks like that bag that make up the scarecrow's head. It would be found and be obtainable in this eerie farmside town next to the Lowford farmlands, alongside plenty of other creepy Pokemon of supernatural types such as Psychic, Dark, and Ghost, of course. This small farm town, as I discussed in my farm-inspired Pokemon video, is inspired by a real town in Iceland, which has a long-standing history with magic and creepy occurrences immortalized by the Icelandic Museum of Witchcraft and Sorcery. Fernian Spearow still evolves into Fearow. Able to sense and feed off of fear, Fearow is just as capable of provoking it with its eerie presence. Fernian Fearow puts the fear in Fearow, with its pre-evolution same sinister ghost flying typing and scarecrow concept. It now even has some witch or broomstick-like elements thrown into its design as a reference to Iceland's long-standing history with magic and sorcery, as I just mentioned, with the Icelandic Museum of Witchcraft and Sorcery. Broomsticks are also used to fly, which I thought was a fun reference as it's still a flying type. I have always felt Spearow and Fearow have deserved more attention and love as they're rather underrated Pokemon. and originally being a normal type, I feel there was a lot of potential of where I could take it with a new type and concept for these two. Like most Ghost-type Pokemon, it's the dead, glowing red eyes that really help invoke a sense of terror. Next, I'd like to introduce yet another Flying-type regional in the Fyrún region, being the regional Zubat line. I briefly covered this line in my Flying-type video, but by that I mean really briefly, as I really sped through it. I didn't even provide their dex entries, stats, and various other information I normally provide with my Fakemon, as I always plan to feature them properly in this video. So here we go. Fernian Zubat loses its original poison typing in favor of the rock typing, as it's now inspired even further by cave bats and stalactite and stalagmites. Having merged with the rare minerals found within the caves of the Fyrún region, Fernian Zubat's bodies are rock hard. They are often mistaken for the stalactites as they stake themselves onto the ceilings of the caves and hang upside down. Iceland is known for its grottos, so I wanted to have a fair number of rock-type Pokemon and some unique Pokemon to fill those grottos and caves with. And I think it's safe to say that we are all sick of encountering the regular Zubat in caves. So I made the Fernian Zubat. Fernian Zubat evolves into Fernian Golbat. Like Fernian Zubat, they stake themselves into the ceilings of caves where they sleep upside down. Despite having eyes, they use echolocation to guide themselves even in total darkness. It keeps the concept and inspiration from its first stage and takes it a step further, as most of my evolutions do, with its mouth now resembling a literal cave, with its fangs resembling stalactite, as does the end of its wings, and of course the top and bottom of its body, which it once again uses to literally stake itself into the ceilings of caves in order to hang upside down and sleep. Since I also kind of took inspiration from vampire bats, I thought this would be a nice reference to that as well. In fact, that's why I decided to make the wings of this line a crimson red alongside its dark stone gray body. I think this really helps make the reds pop even more. And Fernian Golbat evolves once more into Fernian Crobat. In the same exact manner Golbat normally evolves into Crobat. Despite being made of stone, it flies silently and swiftly through the air. Unsuspecting victims have walked out of dark caves unaware that it has bitten them and drained them of blood. This dex entry, of course, once again a reference to vampire bats, as they are prominent throughout Europe. I almost considered making a new evolution for this line, but decided to scrap that concept and incorporate it into my rock dragon type Siderian Drudigan line for my Pokemon Legends Realmdale project, alongside its new regional evolution, Gargoygon, inspired by stone gargoyles. That was going to be the route I took with this line, but felt it was a better fit for that line and project instead. Plus, to be absolutely honest, Crobat is one of my all-time favorite Pokemon, and I couldn't do it dirty like that, and miss the opportunity to give it some love, as I feel like it's long overdue. So I really hope that all of you are just as happy with how my Fernian Crobat turned out. And of course, I couldn't have done it without the incredible artist, Pokejamon, to help me breathe new life into this iconic Pokemon line. Which, as their designs and dex entries suggest, can obviously be found once again throughout the caves and grottos of the Fyrún region, or in various locations flying around at the darkened night. One of my favorite regional variants for the Fyrún region is the fluffy Ferranean Buneary, putting the air in Buneary with its new flying typing. Buneary take to the sky by spinning their ears like propellers. With their fluffy fur, most Fernians mistake them for clouds in the sky. This adorable bunny is inspired by the various rabbit species found in Iceland, mostly Arctic rabbits, as well as flight pilots. I know there have been several amazing Ice-type Buneary regionals already done in the Fakemon community, so I fought the urge to make it an Ice-type and decided to make it a Flying type instead. The fact I also already had a large number of Ice types in the Fyrún dex only helped convince me to try something new with the Flying typing. Its new light gray coloring and fluffy cloud-like fur also helps sell its Flying typing. If you look closely, its fluffy ears resemble the fur in a pilot's hat, and the ears can also spin like propellers, Tails style. As the gamer in me thought this would be a fun twist and Sonic reference. I mean, this certainly wouldn't be the first time that pop culture has influenced a Pokemon concept and design. Buneary can be found in various areas throughout the Fyrún region, such as the snowy areas and the grassy fields and rocky mountains found within the scenic sanctuary. Buneary evolves into Fernian Lopunny. Retaining its new normal flying typing, the overall design and concept remains the same as its pre-evolution as well. Using its strong legs, it launches itself into the sky, soaring alongside the clouds with its wing-like ears. It would be a lot harder to find Lopunny in the wild than Buneary. However, if you did, it would be found in the same areas of the Fyrún region, with your best chance of finding it being around the peak of the region's large icy mountain. For those of you who play Pokemon Braun, you'll also be able to find Lopunny on the Flying-type Elite Four member Winda's team. The next set of variants are all Poison types, with new regional evolutions originally introduced in my Poison-type centered video, along with various other sick new Poison-type Pokemon. To start things off, we have a new regional form for Salandit. Ferranean Salandit is no longer a Fire type, but instead an Ice type. Another reference to the fact that Iceland is known as the land of fire and ice, as the Fyrún region has a continuous theme of duality, which I'm sure most of you who watch all my videos are probably sick of hearing. I am so sorry, but not everyone watches my videos, so I have to go there and catch everyone else up to speed. Its venom sacs produce a fluid that thrives in cold temperatures. This process creates Salandit's poison gas. The changes to Ferranean Salandit's design are super subtle, with the icy blue snowflake-like pattern along its back and tail being the only real noticeable difference. Ferranean Salandit can be found in the Fyrún region's snowy and rocky areas. Once again, there aren't really any reptiles found in Iceland, but with Fyrún already taking some inspiration from the rest of Scandinavia, this line was loosely inspired by the great newt found in Norway. Obviously, I put my own twist on it, as Pokemon often does, with its ice typing to once again fit the region's themes of duality. Now, to further this theme, as I'm sure you probably suspected, Ferranean Salandit only evolves if it is a male, similar to how the original Salandit only evolves into Salazzle if it's a female. So if you manage to catch and evolve a male Salandit in the Fyrún region, you'll get Salizzard, a play on Salamander, Blizzard to accommodate its ice typing, and of course Lizard. For some reason, only males have been found. It creates a harem of female Salandit that it lives with. I really hate to perpetuate gender stereotypes, but it is important to note that Salizzard is a lot buffer than its more slender female counterpart, Salazzle. Its icy blue highlights and snowflake-like patterns expanded from its pre-evolution help sell its new ice typing. Once again, while rare, it can be found in the same areas as its pre-evolution Salandit, usually accompanied by a harem of female Salandit, as mentioned in its Dex entry. Last but not least, I'd like to introduce a new regional variant for Trubbish. Look, I know Trubbish gets a lot of hate alongside a handful of Gen 5 Pokemon, but I actually love it, and I always have, to be honest. I mean, a trash bag, especially with its more cat-like features, is far more original to me than a literal pile of slime. And plenty of other Gen 1 Pokemon, if I'm being absolutely honest, but I'm sure you've all seen or had this debate before, so I'll spare you. Anyways, Ferranean Trubbish now has the water typing. Trubbish have adapted into water types in the Fyrún region after being dumped into the sea alongside human waste. It is clearly inspired by the plastic waste and various other toxins that now pollute a majority of the world's oceans. You can see the plastic that coats its body and makes up its arms, and the little colored specks in its design are now a lot darker like the rest of its design. Its apathetic facial expression says it all. It is over it. A lot of you who follow me already know I'm no stranger to social commentary with my Fakemon designs, and either is the Pokemon Company. This Pokemon can be found with a wide variety of the Fyrún region's poison types out at sea at the Pokecorp oil rig, where there is a massive oil leak in the ocean, which is actually a major plot point in the story, as this location serves as a big battle between rival teams Team Brain and Team Brawn, which you and your rival will be part of. This is also the location and point in the story where you will first encounter the poison-type specialist, Irma. Speaking of Irma, her ace Pokemon is actually Fernian Trubbish's new evolution. Like the other two regional variants showcased in this video, Fernian Trubbish no longer evolves into Garbodor in the Fyrún region, but instead, it now evolves into Garbocean. Garbocean eats waste and toxins from the sea, which it uses to create more potent poisons inside of its body. Garbocean looks quite similar to Garbodor, as I wanted to stay true to its design and have them at least look related, but now has a coat of plastic with even more rings making up its tentacles, as I wanted it to appear to be more aquatic to fit its new water type and concept by resembling a jellyfish. At least that was my intention. Garbocean is even one of the many poison type Pokemon that can learn a brand new move within the Fyrún region, called Pollution. This is a special attack that deals 70 damage. It is essentially a poison type version of Freeze Dry, as it is super effective against water types, as well as having a 10% chance of poisoning the target. Yes, it too can be found around the Pokecorp oil rig, so make sure to catch one, as it has a powerful forge form of the Wrecker type. This hazardous hammer is stronger than it looks, especially as it can poison its foes on contact. And of course, it is the signature weapon of the aforementioned poison type specialist, Irma. Another regional I've yet to introduce here on my YouTube channel, but has unfortunately been scrapped, is Water Ice type Ferranean Wailord. Obviously, I love this beautiful design, which was done by one of my favorite artists, Trainer Mats, so believe me when I tell you cutting it was not easy. As cutting a Fakemon I came up with, took the time to research, and most importantly paid a pretty penny for, is never easy. So please know, if I cut a Fakemon, it's for a wide variety of reasons that I'll happily share with you, but whether or not you agree with my decisions or reasoning is irrelevant, to be honest. I don't mean to sound rude, but at the end of the day, it's my decisions I have to live with, and my vision I have to see through for my Fakemon regions, not to mention my money to be spent. So please don't waste my time telling me why you think it's different enough, or I should keep it, etc. I guarantee you I have already thought most of this through, and more importantly made my mind up. Anyways, I'll give you even more information on this Fakemon, its creation, and more importantly why it was scrapped in an upcoming video around all the scrapped Fakemon for the Fyrún region, including another regional line I scrapped, Fernian Gerbean and Fernian Herbil, so please stay tuned for that, as I do think a lot of them are really cool, and I'm just happy to get to introduce them to you in some way, shape, or form. Speaking of regional variants, due to how perfectly they already fit Norse mythology and the Fyrún region, Galarian Meowth and Galarian Yamask and their new evolutions, Berserker and Runerigus, would be available in the Fyrún region as well, much how Cantonian Meowth can be found in various other regions outside of the Kanto region. So I don't see why special variants from other regions couldn't be found in various other regions just like their original variants, as long as the living conditions and biomes were right, of course. Vulpix's two variants would also both be available in the Fyrún region, its Fire-type variant around the Volcano area, and Ice-type variant around the Icy Mountain. As being foxes, they both fit the region perfectly, and its theme of duality. Plus, we got 3 different Tauros variants in the Paldea region, so I don't see why we couldn't have multiple variants of another Pokemon in the same region as well. It's important to note that being regional variants and evolutions, all of the modern-day Fyrún forms featured in this video would be found in Pokemon Legends Realmdale, but only through Realmdale's reality distortions, similar to the time-space distortions in Pokemon Legends Arceus, as the Cedo region already has its own batch of regional variants and evolutions, which if you'd like to see, please make sure to check out my Pokemon Legends Realmdale video, as the Cedo region is just an ancient past version of the Fyrún region, heavily inspired by the Viking settlement of Iceland, as its story explores the origins of the Forge Form mechanic and how the Fyrún region came to be as we know it today. As this monster of a video is filled to the brim with even more amazing regional variants and evolutions that I am absolutely sure you will love, that like these take inspiration from Iceland and Norse mythology, and even more so from Icelandic folklore. And of course, all of these would be available in the modern-day Fyrún region through some sort of event involving the legendary Realm Doll and its reality-bending powers. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to hit that like button, as well as to subscribe to my channel for more Fakemon content, as I have plenty of exciting projects in the works, as well as the best of the Fyrún region right around the corner as we head towards the region's climax over the next few months. Also, please leave a comment down below to let me know what your favorite of these regional forms was. As most of you know, I have commissioned well over 30 talented artists at this point to help bring all of my Fakemon concepts, designs, and original characters to life. So please make sure to go support all of them as well, many of which have their own amazing Fakemon projects that I cannot recommend enough. Their contributions and links will be provided in the bio below, so please check that out. Once again, please make sure to subscribe, and I will see you shortly with a brand new video, so stay tuned for that.